You are listening to the IFH Podcast Network. For more amazing filmmaking and screenwriting podcasts, just go to ifhpodcastnetwork.com.
Welcome to the Successful Screenwriter Podcast, where we discuss anything and everything screenwriting. Here we interview successful screenwriters and filmmakers to find out just what it takes to make it in the industry. Just a heads up, this episode is brought to you by my book, The Guide for Every Screenwriter, which has been listed as one of the best screenwriting books of all time by the Book Authority. If you're looking for something that reveals the secrets of screenwriting in an easy to understand and engaging way, then this is the book for you. You can find The Guide for Every Screenwriter at thesuccessfulscreenwriter.com/books now. On to the show. All right, welcome to the podcast. We've had a great guest today. This gentleman has written an Audible show called 10 Days. It's a drama. It's a basketball drama. This is Aaron Tracy. Aaron, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you've got a great show on your hands. You've even got some named talent on there, and it's really interesting. I know it's done well. The reviews are fantastic. And I know you have a history of TV writing as well. So I would love to kind of dive into a little bit of the difference there between writing for an audio drama and writing for television. But before we get into that, can you give me a little bit of your origin story and kind of what led us into this show as well?
Yeah. I think my origin story is probably pretty boring. I always, I teach TV writing also. And people are always asking, how do you make that first leap into, television writing, into the first staff job? And unfortunately, the very annoying answer is that every single person does it differently. I probably did the most common track, which is kind of an apprenticeship where I moved to LA from the East Coast, and I started writing spec scripts, and I was lucky enough to get an agent to hip pocket me, which means he takes you on as a client, but you're not an official client of the agency. It's kind of like, if he can get you work, great. If he can't, who cares? No harm, no foul. So it's not fantastic, but it's better than nothing. Mm-hmm. But he was actually able to get me my first assistant job, which was the writer's assistant position on a show called Killer Instinct. That show taught me, I literally, coming from the East Coast, I had no idea how shows got made. And so all of a sudden I see what a writer's room is, and I'm meeting all these writers, and I'm seeing production schedules. And then we worked, tirelessly for 6 months, mostly the writers, of course, but me taking notes. And then we premiered, and USA Today said, if you're looking for the worst show of the new season, look no further.
Oh, no.
Quite a come down, but, taught me about this business. And then my boss on that show, Ed Zuckerman, who's a terrific showrunner, brought me onto his next show. And then you just kind of work your way up, Now you've met a lot of people, you start writing. I started writing my own stuff, started selling some pilots, did a few staff jobs. That's kind of the life.
But but that's great insight, though. I mean, people need to hear this. And so to see that you took that track, and obviously you were able to bring a skill set into it that allowed you to not only foster those relationships, but to continuously get work.
Yeah, I think it's about being a good person, being the kind of person that other people want in a writer's room. Writer's rooms are notoriously difficult, places. Right. You're in a windowless room often for 10, 12 hours a day, every day. So even more than talented people, you want people who are easy to get along with.
Yeah.
People that will bring other ideas out of you. And so if you're the guy in the room who's an idea factory, let's say, just coming up with a million great ideas for shows, or you're constantly, pitching. So the worst kind of person in a writer's room is the person who attacks a pitch on the board without providing an alternate pitch.
Right.
So if you can avoid being that person, if you can be a person that's easy to get along with, if you have some talent and you're pitching good ideas and you're passionate about it. A buddy of mine, the best TV writer I know, this guy, Jesse Stern, he says, Hollywood is just a war of attrition. So if you have the requisite talent, just stick with it. Everybody else will fall by the wayside and you'll keep going.
Man, that is beautiful insight. So tell me what led to the Audible drama 10 Days.
Yes. So I'm really, really proud of 10 Days. I appreciate you talking about it. I really want people to listen to it. So it's a show, it's called an Audible original. And so
Okay.
it's an Audible Plus title, which means if you are a subscriber to Audible, you can download it for free, which is
Nice.
exciting. So it's sort of the Netflix HBO model. The show came about. I went in, had a general meeting, one of these water cooler meetings your agent sends you on with a producer. And we were talking about ideas. It was actually, I was pitching him an idea about, it was a presidential drama.
Okay.
And we just started, talking. And I mentioned something about the Knicks game last night. And he said, "Oh, you're a basketball fan. Well, sitting in the seat that you're sitting in right now, yesterday was Steve Nash." And I said, "Oh my God, how did you possibly meet Steve Nash? I'm such a huge fan." And he said, "Steve came in to pitch an idea. Steve wants to get into Hollywood."
Oh, wow.
I think he had just retired from the Lakers, or maybe he was in his final year with the Lakers. And I said, "Well, I am obsessed with basketball and I happen to have a great idea for a basketball show. You should introduce me to Steve." And he did. And I pitched the idea to Steve, and Steve was totally into it and totally got it.
Wow.
And the idea is basically about players who get 10-day contracts in the NBA,
Yeah.
which is this funny, system from the 1970s, started in 76, I think, where if a team is down a player, and it could be because of an injury, or like today it's happening all the time because of COVID,
Oh, that makes
that
sense.
team, that team can bring on anyone they want, anyone, literally. Most often it's from the minor league, but they could bring on me, they could bring on you for 10 days. And for those 10 days, the player is a part of the team. He's playing
Wow.
in Madison Square Garden. So you can go from playing, in front of fold out bleachers in Oshkosh with a minor league team on a Monday and playing in Madison Square Garden on a Tuesday. So it's this
Wow.
incredibly high stakes, dramatic, condensed time frame. And I just thought it would be a fantastic story to fictionalize one of these players and do like a great underdog sports story.
I think that's fascinating. Now you were pitching the presidential drama. Did you try and take anything from that and work it into your pitch for the 10 days, or was this just a totally different thing?
Totally different.
Okay.
The idea about the president got me in the door, got me the meeting with this producer. And then when he said, I have a connection to this legendary basketball player, 2-time MVP, I just pivoted. And I was
Just
like, all right,
pivoted. See,
let's,
that's what you have to
yeah,
be. Yeah, you have to
yeah,
be adaptable like this chameleon. I love
yeah,
that, because you can run into so many writers that get stuck on one idea and they can't
yeah.
pivot. And that's what I wanted to know if you're able to do. That's wonderful.
Yeah, the other advice that I give to young writers a lot is when you go on these general meetings, and these general meetings are ones with producers or studio executives or network executives set up by your agent, or your mom's dentist's son is an executive and you go on these meetings. They're basically meetings where you're not officially pitching anything. You're
Right.
just sort of talking and hoping to get on their list, their mysterious list.
Yeah.
In the beginning of my career, one of the big mistakes I made, and I think a mistake a lot of people made, is that you go into these meetings and you just talk about the weather, and you talk about where you're from, and you talk about your favorite movies, and it never leads to anything. I always sort of advise young writers to go into those meetings with 3 killer ideas.
Nice.
Research the company ahead of time, know what they're looking for, have 3 ideas in your pocket. They don't have to be thought out. They can just be like log lines, or a couple sentences, maybe a character you're interested in, and find a way in that meeting to pitch your ideas. And if the executive or the producer likes one of them, fantastic. You
That's
say to them,
awesome.
"Let me get back to you on Monday with a 2-pager on that idea." And
Nice.
then if they like that, you've now got a project in development. That's worked out for me a lot, and it's something I really advise young writers to do.
That's great advice. So we write television, we write features, we write visually, right? In an audio drama like 10 days. I mean, this harkens back to the old radio dramas of
Yeah,
our parents and grandparents. So walk me through a little bit of the difference you've kind of found you had to I guess harness in order to make that transition.
yeah. No, I mean, you're exactly right. It is tricky the first couple times you do it. The hardest part, I would say, is the lack of subtext in audio dramas.
Okay.
With TV writing, with screenwriting, you can do so much with a look. Not everything has to be said, right?
Yes. Yeah.
An actor can look a certain way. A camera can pan, and all of a sudden, the audience will understand the subtext that you're trying to impart. In an audio drama, it's so much harder. It's so much harder. You really find yourself putting everything into the mouths of your characters, which can kind of lead to uninteresting drama. So that's the biggest obstacle, to figure out ways to get out subtext, without the aid of a camera.
What are the tools you're using to do that? Are you relying on sound effects? Are you bringing in music? Are you creating that environment to help with that subtext?
Yeah, absolutely. So the company, the physical production company that made 10 Days is called Treefort Media. Really great company. They brought in a fantastic soundscape. Nice. So you feel like you're amongst these characters in this world. So I don't have to have a character say, I'm walking into a bowling alley now. You just hear a bowling alley and it goes unsaid, which helps. That's sort of an obvious way to avoid subtext, but that kind of thing really helps.
So creating that soundscape is something that's really helpful. Are you finding that characters are saying their feelings way too much and really trying to work around how they're avoiding that to get to the emotion behind the emotion?
Yeah, it's so hard.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, but you practice it enough. It's just like screenwriting. Your first few scripts are terrible, and you do it enough, and you come up with ways to make that work. There's no one trick, at least that I found, for sort of getting across an emotion of a character without having them say it. It just, you build a scene like how, all dramatic writers know how, with a beginning, middle, and end to every scene. And you hope that the audience sort of figures out what the scene is actually about, what the main intention is of the character, what the obstacles are for the character. And you slowly pull back on the characters saying out loud how they're going to overcome the obstacle. A lot of times in a first draft, they're just going to say it. Yeah. And then in a second draft, you can pull it out.
I love it. And I hate to get to the nitty gritty on you, but I'm sure the audience is just curious. So writing a regular screenplay, we say about 1 page is about 1 minute on film. Yeah. Is that similar with writing the draft for an audio drama?
It's similar, but I would probably say 1.5 pages, just because there's so much dialogue. So you look at the great dialogue writers in TV and film, like Amy Sherman Palladino or Aaron Sorkin. They're handing in not 60-page, pilots. They're handing in 75, 80-page pilots. Same with screenplays, because they write so much dialogue, and dialogue simply moves faster.
Yeah. That makes sense. So with 10 Days, are you looking at creating something that's going to get buzzworthy and then maybe pitching it as a TV show?
Yeah. So a lot of TV writers and screenwriters are now using podcasts as ways to generate IP to then go sell the TV or the film version. That makes sense. I'm doing that too. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I'm also a giant fan of podcasts. I really like audio dramas. So I'm definitely seeing this as an end in itself. If 10 Days goes no further than Audible, I'm still incredibly happy with it. I really am proud of the show, and I hope people listen to it. But yes, we are pitching it. We've got I brought on some great producers onto the team, and we're going to get ready to go pitch it as a TV show, which I have high hopes for. And I'm doing the same with my other audio dramas. They really are great IP, but like I said, they're also just really cool in and of themselves, and they offer a very different experience than the TV or film versions would.
And I'm really glad you walked us into IP, because I think that is something that producers are out there looking at right now. Do you have a show that's out there? Do you have a fan base? Can we use that fan base if we start creating this? So I think that's brilliant advice.
Yeah, totally. And the same with TV right now. It's just partly because of 1.5 years of COVID, but it's really hard to sell right now. You have to have such a strong package. I'm out with a TV pitch right now where, it used to be in the old days, you would come up with an idea, you would go pitch it to a network executive, or however many executives there are. Just, you would go in an original idea, you would pitch it. For this current project that I'm talking about, that I'm pitching, I have a full script, I have a studio, I have a director, I have a lead actor, I have a non-writing executive producer, and we're still not taking it out until we get a lead actress. It's just, you've really got to package things up. You've got to make things giant.
Yeah, you have everything. I mean, you're just going to walk into them with the show. You just need the money. That's amazing.
And not every pitch is like that. I'm pitching a different show this week, actually, where we have our lead actor and we have our director, but that's it. We don't have a script. We don't have another studio. We don't have a non-writing, so it's a little bit pared down from the other project I just mentioned. But even there, yeah, I've got a director and an actor, which is not nothing.
So for writers out there that don't have the contacts, they don't have the connections out there to kind of get this package going, does it make sense to you for them, if they can create a show with a strong IP, to go for it?
Absolutely, because the way there's nothing inherently special about me that I've got this package together, right? I got this package together because it's a cool idea, and I've been around for a while, and so I know some executives and producers. But even if you just know one non-writing producer, right? Even if you just know one production company, take them your idea, and it's their job to go get you the team. So they're the ones who will go get you an actor. They'll get you a director. They'll get you what you need. So don't feel like if you don't know whoever, Josh Duhamel or somebody, that you can't go pitch your show because you don't have a fancy actor attached. Go to a non-writing executive producer. They're hungry for material. They're starving for it, and let them take it from there.
Aaron, this has been a boon, sir. This has been brilliant advice. Really appreciate everything you've done. It is an Audible original, 10 days. Is there anything else I should have asked you that I haven't, sir?
No, just the only other thing is I just want to mention the fantastic cast for 10 days. So Glenn Powell is our lead, the basketball player. Glenn, I think it's going to blow up in a giant way with Top Gun Maverick, which is coming out Memorial Day.
Awesome.
He's been in some great movies like Set It Up on Netflix, which is fantastic, and Everybody Wants Some, the Richard Linklater movie. He's truly going to be a giant movie star, even more than he already is. Lamorne Morris plays his best friend. Lamorne is the star of Woke. He was the star of New Girl for many years. Everybody will recognize his voice. Erin Westbrook plays Michelle. She's also truly fantastic, just an extraordinary actress who I've worked with before. She's starring on Riverdale right now. Then Jessica Hecht plays Glenn's mom, and Jessica Hecht was on Friends for a million years. She's been on Succession. She's on Breaking Bad. She's a great theater actress, so people will recognize her too. Yeah, the cast did an extraordinary job. And when you asked before about how you get across subtext and how you get across emotion, you do it through a cast like this.
Hey, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter by using my handle @ScreenwriterPod. And if you liked the show, please support it by subscribing and sharing the episode on your social media.